Hey everybody, Daleen here at Okanagan Koi. This is going to be kind of a weird video for me to make. Maybe a weirder one for you to watch because it is of such a personal nature and certainly not like the videos I normally make. I will try to make this as short as possible because I know your time is precious and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I really need your help, so please watch it all the way to the end. In case I don't get a chance to say later, I wanted you to know that there's a whole bunch of contact information for the people I'm going to talk about in this video. It's in the information section on this video on YouTube, so just check that out. There's a bunch of emails and other sort of stuff that you can look at on there. This is really a long story because it's gone on for 9.5 years, but I'll try and give you the Reader's Digest version because and I won't be able to touch on everything. There's just no way. I don't have time. I'll be here for like a week. It's just nuts. So, start from the beginning. My family and I have been in a legal battle for the last 9.5 years against the government of British Columbia, the Ministry of Transportation. And what that's all about is in 2010, the Ministry of Transportation came to us and they wanted to 4-lane Highway 33, which is a highway right out in front of our business and our home. We live on the same property. And they said that they were going to bring the lanes 2 lanes closer to us, which would then ruin our business access that we had, and so they wanted to relocate it. So we were okay with that. Now, before any of this happened though, I wanted to let you know, before the highway project started, they had come and surveyed our property, surveyed all the properties along the road, and they had come onto our property some 25-30 plus feet and put some markers in there that said C and G. We didn't know what that meant until later, but the C and G stood for clear and grum. So what that means is they're going to clear all the way up to those lines, some 30 feet into our property. Keeping in mind that they were not acquiring any of our land for this project, they were not expropriating, we did not have any agreements, they had not come to us for any of that. So they had no need or reason to be on our property. It was a full trespass. We did tell them that they were on our property, to which Helen Evans, who's the project manager for the Ministry of Transportation on this job, she said, don't worry, they're professionals, they know what they're doing. So us not knowing what the signs actually meant, just sort of trusted her, right? So then all of a sudden I'm out of province doing an indoor koi pond for a friend, and I get this message from my husband, oh my god, they're cutting our trees down. And I'm like, cutting our trees down? Yeah, they were out there, I guess, with chainsaws, the ministry guys, and they were hacking down 14 of our trees is what they got before they got caught. Some old growth. So there was tens of thousands of dollars in damages that could not ever be put back whole. I mean, you're taking a tree down, right? So something that's been around for 100 years, it's not just going to come back tomorrow. So despite that, I went ahead and had a meeting with the ministry with Helen Evans and one of her people that she works with who does acquisitions, land acquisitions. His name is Joe Ellicott. They came and they sat in our living room and they told us that they needed to have what's called a TLC, a temporary license to construct, to build our driveway because they couldn't come on our property without our consent, which is funny because they come on our property and put all those markers and cut our trees down without our consent. But anyway, so we said okay, and then they said that they would like to have extend that TLC to a section of our Highway 33 frontage because they were going to be driving vehicles over it. They weren't going to be moving anything or changing anything, but that they needed permission to be on our property. And so we agreed because we took them at their word. That's what they said. Now, having said that, we found out later that that actually isn't the case. Through Freedom of Information, FOI, and the Privacy Commissioner's Office, we found out we got some of their private emails back and forth, and in those emails they were acknowledging with their surveyor, who had surveyed the property, that they would be some 2 meters into our property, but they did not disclose this during our meeting. They did not tell us that they had intended to permanently occupy our land. They only asked us for a temporary license to construct, but according to their messages back and forth, they had hoped that they could basically scam us into signing for this TLC, and somehow that would make it okay to permanently occupy our property. But from what we've spoken to different people on this topic, they said when they know something before they do it, then it's not an accident, which is what they try to tell the RCMP. It was a mistake. It was not a mistake. They absolutely knew they were going to be there before they did it, and they did it, which then makes it a criminal act. So it was premeditated. That was unbeknownst to us. Anyways, then their contractor, who cut down our trees, actually looked at me and told me to F off and to go get a lawyer, which I thought was a pretty stupid thing to say, but whatever. We wanted to just let bygones be bygones. I mean, we weren't happy, obviously, for obvious reasons, but we also had motivation by not getting in the middle of some pissing match with the contractor and the ministry, because these people were going to be in control of our access for the duration of this highway construction, which probably would take a couple of years. So we just let it go. You know, we made a deal with them, which was pretty minor. The ministry seemed grateful, but the contractor got a little bit pissy. And he thought that we had negotiated behind his back with the ministry. And so then he was going to teach us a lesson. And so he started blocking off our driveway with flag people. And then took away our street sign, took away our business signs, drove over any signs that we put out there, blocked cars across it, put piles of dirt in front of our driveways, people couldn't get in, blocked our driveways so people couldn't see it. And then one day this gentleman comes into the business, and trust me, this happened a lot. But this particular time was the first time that I had seen this. He came in and he was really annoyed. And I'm like, what's the matter? He says, oh my God, I had a hell of a time getting in here. They wouldn't let me in. I'm like, what do you mean they wouldn't let you in? And he says, oh, they're blocking your driveway. Didn't you know that? And I'm like, no, because where we worked out of our business, out of a greenhouse, you can't see our driveway from where we were. So I marched straight over there and stood there, and lo and behold, there's this flag lady right across our driveway. And so I see her from the back, and I see this courier across the highway, and he's pointing at our driveway. He wants to come in, and I see her from behind doing this, waving her head, and with her hand doing this, waving him away. And he's getting mad, and he's pointing, and she's like this, no you're not, go away. And he's like pointing, and this went on for quite a little bit. And then finally he just had enough, and he came around her, and that's when she saw me. And so that was our introduction to this whole debacle of how this was going to go for the next couple of years. And that wasn't the only case. There was over and over and over, and we phoned and phoned and phoned and phoned Helen and everybody else that was on this job and begged for them to rein this guy in because he was blocking us off. We saw them sitting across the street from us, the ministry, sitting in their yellow ministry truck, watching all of this going on, and they wouldn't do a thing to stop it. So this went on, and we got major business losses. I can't even begin to tell you, but they nearly bankrupt Okanagan. That was nearly the end of us. Nobody seemed to want to stop it. We were in free fall at that point. Nobody cared. Nobody would listen to us. And so then, I guess with all their complaining, they got tired of it and they lawyered up. So then they wouldn't even talk to us anymore at all. They said, talk to our lawyer. So at that point, it had been the AG office was in charge of it, and then they decided to step aside, and we thought that was kind of weird because they hired out to two lawyers here in Kelowna, one a divorce lawyer and another a financial lawyer, which, what do you suppose they know about expropriation and land rights and everything else? Nothing. But I think that was the point. I think the point is the AG office realized what had gone on, and what the ministry had done was illegal. That's my guess. And so they stepped aside because you can't get caught representing that sort of thing if you're the Attorney General's office, right? So we'll just hire these local guys and let them drag it out until this family loses all the money that they have and the business goes bankrupt, and we'll shut them up that way and no one will be none the wiser of anything we've done. I think that's how it went. So anyways, and then after that, after they lawyered up, then the Assistant Deputy Minister of Transportation, his name is Dave Duncan, just randomly all of a sudden decided that he needed to talk to me personally, not my husband present, not my lawyer present, specifically excluded them, which I thought was weird. So I talked to the highways critic, Harry Baines, and I asked him about it, and he said, well, maybe they're going to make you an offer. So I went, which was stupid, because that's not what it was about at all. There was no deal to be made. During the meeting, I said to him what people had been saying to me, somebody's made a mistake, and you guys are just trying to cover it up. To which he got quite animated and said, absolutely not. None of this was a mistake. So I looked at him thinking, oh my God, all of this was pre-planned and he knew about it. And yes, he acknowledged that they did. None of it was a mistake. So here we are, 3 years later, roughly. A little bit more than that actually, because for the last 3 years, these two lawyers here in Kelowna have decided, I believe they were directed, they didn't do this on their own, because of the whole time the AG office has been sitting in the background. So now you as taxpayers are paying for the AG office lawyers and these two lawyers who I'm sure are probably on a pretty big retainer. All of them now are fighting us, and they're using our tax dollars to do it. So my own tax dollars are being used to fight me. Isn't that lovely? So So our lawyer's been requesting for the last 3 years the numbers that the Ministry of Transportation used when they were doing their highway design. You can't build a highway without the numbers that were being asked for. So there's no way it didn't exist. But these two guys said they absolutely didn't exist. Didn't happen. They don't have it. We have it all in writing too, which is great. And then of course we pursued with the ministry through the FOI and through the privacy commissioner, and we got the information that way. So probably unbeknownst to these two lawyers, we had the information. Gave it to our surveyor, who then went ahead and put together a report based on the ministry's own numbers and said, well, it's worse than we thought. They're farther in your property than we thought. It's most certainly they've taken your land for this project, and they are in a de facto expropriation. So here we sit. 9.5 years later, we have a big problem, right? So all of this, just incidentally, was designed by SNC Lavalin. I think everybody will recognize that name because it's been in the news a whole lot lately under ethics problems, and they're going to court. And in fact, our Justice Minister, Jody Wilson-Raybould, quit Trudeau's cabinet because he wanted her to do some questionable things to let SNC Lavalin off the hook. Well, these guys are here doing designing highways to be on our land, and they couldn't have known, I don't think, or maybe they thought it was going to be acquired. I don't know. I can't speak for them. But they designed it to be on our road, and not only that, or on our property, and not only that, they designed many of the driveway designs that they were foisted on us that our engineering firms, and we had 3 of them, tell us would not work. Some of these designs were so bad, they went through our house. They wanted to put our driveway through our house, through our fish house, just atrocious designs, and then looked at us like we were lunatics because we didn't accept them. So that was part of what dragged this on for 9.5 years as well. We're into this now about $110,000 in legal bills to fight them, which we wouldn't have had to do had the Liberal Party under Christy Clark not abolished the Independent Expropriation Board, where we could have taken this file to them and they could have taken a look at it and said, hey, you guys are crazy, that's not what this is, run along, or yes, you're right, this should have been expropriated, and so these guys need to go back to the board and they need to figure it out. But we can't do that. That didn't happen. There's nowhere for people like us to take something like this. There's nowhere for you. If the ministry or anybody from the government, whether it's city even, comes along and takes your land without your consent, they seized our land without our knowledge or consent and then lied about it and tried to hide it. Now, if that isn't the scummiest thing you've ever heard from government, I don't know what. And then to further hide it, they tried to financially ruin us so that we couldn't fight them about it. And they tried to put my family on the street, and they tried to ruin my business as well. So that's where we need your help. We need you to forward this video to anybody that you can think of, even the people that I've given you contacts for. So John Horgan, who is the Premier, or David Eby, who is the Attorney General now, and Claire Trevina, who is our Minister of Transportation. Anybody else that you can think of, people at the AG office, you'd think that they would want to get this settled. But something scummy has gone on here and everyone's trying to hide it, and I think it's a lot worse than we thought. We did figure out, I think now, why they tried to do this and why they tried to just steal our land. And it has to do with the alignment of the highway, from what we're told from someone, that they tried to avoid having a curve in the road, and so that's why the 300 feet of our property and that 6-foot boulevard is missing, because they had to move everything closer to us, and that's why all the trespassing happened and all this happened, and they're trying to keep it on the down low. They thought we would be too busy in the business or too stupid to notice what they were doing and thought that they could get away with it. But unfortunately, we weren't that busy with the business, and I'm not that stupid, so of course we caught on to it. But you can't make them accountable. We can't, they're like the police policing themselves. They are not spontaneously going to be accountable. We have to force them to do that. And the only way we can do that is with help from you guys. So my social people, my social justice warriors that are out there that have contacts, maybe people you don't even realize can be helpful. Forward it to everybody that you know so that we can bring an end to this. This is a 9.5 year David and Goliath legal battle that has been hell. Absolutely hell on my marriage, hell on my family, hell on my business, just hell in general. I'm just tired of waking up in the middle of the night wanting to throw up, and I need your help. This has got to come to an end. This is outrageous, outrageous government abuse and bullying. So thank you for your help. I much appreciate it. Thanks for your time. God bless.